Hi everyone, a very warm welcome to my channel, Nelly the Narcissist, or Nelly not the Narcissist. For anybody that's new, Nelly is the motif of this channel. She is the covert narcissist character that I portray in my comedy skits. And these are educational comedy skits. They're also designed to be a healing remedy for all survivors in their recovery journeys after narcissistic abuse. My channel, it mainly focuses on the most extreme malignant narcissist, because this isn't just psychology, it's spiritual warfare. And it is the scariest and it's the most insidious experience that anybody can go through, I think, in their lifetime. And I came dangerously close to losing my own life because of it. And that is exactly why I'm here, to spread awareness and to share the knowledge that could save somebody else out there from falling in the same traps. And if this topic actually resonates with you today, then please do like the video, share it with somebody that you think might need it, and do comment your thoughts down below, because your experience and your story could just help somebody else to heal. And all of this, by the way, it supports my work and it helps me to get my messages out to the YouTube algorithm and in front of a survivor that hopefully really needs to hear the message. So thank you for your support. So today we're going to be talking about something that might sound almost stupid, ridiculous at first, is how narcissists use pets, yes, animals, to triangulate and manipulate you with. Now, like I said, it sounds silly, but trust me, it's really not, because the very fact that it sounds so silly is why this tactic flies under the radar, because it's subtle, it's cruel, and it's incredibly effective. This is another way that narcissists make you feel so small, humiliated, inadequate, and degraded, whilst pretending to be a loving, kind, and virtuous human being. And when you try to call them out on it, they gaslight you. What? Are you crazy? You're jealous of an animal? Oh my gosh. You're so sad. I think that you need some help. So this is definitely an interesting topic, and I think it's underrated in my opinion, because it seems so stupid and even innocent. And this is why it's a favorite of a narcissist. So let's start here, because people ask me all the time, can narcissists actually love? And the short answer is no. Love is a foreign language to a narcissist. And you can check out my comedy skit, link below, that I made of this subject. And to simply explain, what narcissists call love is actually just narcissistic supply. It's addiction. When they're getting supply, attention, admiration, control, they can act like they're in love, but it's like a heroin addict doesn't love heroin, they love the high. And a narcissist doesn't love you, doesn't love anybody, not even their children, most certainly not their pets. They love the feeling they get from using you or that animal as a source of power. They don't love you, they love how they can use you. And play that part again. So they don't love you, they love how they can use you. And this also applies to pets that can be used as narcissistic supply, power games, and triangulation, whilst keeping you painfully unaware of their tactics, because on the surface it looks so innocent. And you may think then it's your problem. But this is an integral mechanism of narcissistic abuse, convincing you that you're the problem, that you are the one that's unstable, problematic, and broken. So let's talk about this, why narcissists actually use pets to triangulate. And the answer is simple, it's power and control. For anybody that really wants to understand a narcissist, it's all about these two things. And their world is structured around maintaining always power and control of narcissistic supply. Because without it, they crash and burn, and they don't exist. So a narcissist might pretend to adore an animal, but what they're really doing is they're positioning that animal above you in a twisted hierarchy to make you feel less than, unworthy, highly insecure, and totally replaceable. And the worst part, because it sounds so absurd, like I said, you don't realize what's happening. You just feel it deep inside that something's off, something's really wrong. This isn't about jealousy, it's about your intuition, because your body knows when something is being used against you. Your intuition always knows, whereas your mind will be very confused. I'd like to share a story from one of my coaching clients, with her permission, of course, because she wanted to let people know that this really can happen. She was entangled with an overt malignant narcissist that was very wealthy, and he was very charming as well. Now, early on in their relationship, he began constantly talking about his dog, which was this little one that he shared with his previous supply, his ex. And every day he would flaunt photos of this dog, let's call her Rosie, and he'd say, look at Rosie at the beach, look at Rosie at the hotel, look at Rosie in the car, look at Rosie in the restaurant. She was so well behaved. She knew exactly how to be at the table. She never barked. She was an amazing dog. I loved her so much. She left a hole in my heart. My life is not complete without Rosie. Rosie, 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 every single day. At first, it probably seemed harmless, but it became obsessive. Every single day, it was all about Rosie. And he was really pushing it. And even though my client didn't recognize the agenda or what was happening, she started feeling really bad and jealous. And she started hating the mention of that dog, as it was bringing her so many uncomfortable feelings. She thought, he loves that dog more than he loves me, and he wants to be with her. So she said to him one day, you need to get that dog back. And he said, no, I can't. It's my ex's. It's not possible. So she said, okay, well, go back to your ex where you can be with that dog. Or if you do want a relationship with me, then you have to get another dog. But in any case, this has gone too far because I'm hearing about Rosie nonstop every single day. Now, she set a boundary because luckily this client had been in healthy relationships previously, that she was able to speak up and say this, because her biggest concern wasn't necessarily the dog. It was his ongoing connection to his ex. What this really was a way that he could flaunt his past relationship with his ex in her face and trigger her insecurity, while simultaneously making her feel less loved than the dog, whilst also simultaneously trying to draw her into competition. But this backfired on him big time because she was not going to stand for any of it. Now, what she didn't realize at the time was that Rosie was being played as a tool, a pawn in his game. And animals can be multifunctional. I'm going to break down how narcissists can actually use animals to gain the upper hand. Function 1 is basically when the narcissist discards the former supply partner, they don't want a clean break because they want ongoing access to past supplies. So the dog becomes a bridge for contact and control. And it's not about the animal's well-being. It's about retaining a supply line through a shared responsibility of an animal. And this narcissist was still paying for the vet fees. Even though it seems virtuous, again, it wasn't about the well-being of the pet. No, it was about controlling the former supply. The second function is image maintenance, because by paying the vet bills, he creates a narrative for outsiders, especially potential new partners' supplies. He can say, look how kind and responsible I am. Even after a breakup, I still care for the dog. And this feeds his public image as this compassionate, kind, generous, and mature person, completely masking his manipulation. And the third function that this has is, of course, he uses this dog as a symbolic link between the past and the present. To a new supply, he's like, look how special my bond was with that dog. And by extension, my ex. This creates that jealousy and insecurity. The new supply worries that they're never ever going to measure up to that perfect past. And to the old supply, it's like, look, now I've moved on, but I still care about you. He's not showing affection for the dog. He's showing power through emotional triangulation. The fourth function of this dog in this situation was by keeping the ex involved and by paying for the vet fees, he created a scenario where the discarded ex still sees him as a valuable person, possibly to get back with. And certainly she's less likely to say anything bad about him because she is receiving a bribe. And it can actually look good to future supplies where they see him as a great guy, and he can have then an alibi in which he can prove, you see, my relationship wasn't that bad with her because we're still friends, we're still in touch. and she wouldn't talk to me if I was bad. So then you see the ex can be an enabler and flying monkey, the PR girl or guy for the narcissist. It's not malice, but this is what happens. And why animals are so effective is because they have these shared memories with previous partners. So they're symbolic and they are emotionally loaded tools. They can't be easily separated or blocked like an ex can or a phone number. And they provide an excuse then for ongoing contact that seems innocent. Animals, pets, can trigger nostalgia and guilt or empathy, and all of these things narcissists, they exploit very expertly. So when my client set the boundary with this narcissist, he framed it with humiliation and gaslighting her. Wow, I didn't think you'd be so jealous over a little dog. You see how this then becomes your problem. And they're going to use this at a later date when they've got more data on you. And then they're going to hit you with everything as they destroy and dismantle your character and integrity. They will say, you remember, you were even jealous over little dogs. But here's the thing, she stood her ground. She set a boundary, and guess what? That topic of Rosie disappeared overnight. He never mentioned the dog ever again. Because the truth is, it was never genuine care. He doesn't care about that dog. He was using her only as an abuse strategy. So he dropped the topic completely because he knew he couldn't use that strategy anymore. It didn't work. She'd had enough. Now, of course, the narcissist moved on then to a new tactic, but that's what they do. They're constantly shifting methods to keep control. They're going to try to find the things that they can push on you and get away with. Now, this triangulation method, it didn't work on her, but it can work on a lot of people. He had probably learnt this trick with previous supplies, where it actually worked very nicely. And he thought that, I'm going to try this again because it works so well. But he found out in this situation that that doesn't work on everybody. And as soon as he saw it wasn't not only working, but it was having the opposite effect, and he was at risk to push this supply source completely away, he really wanted to keep her because she's an empath and it was the best supply he's ever had in his life. So he really wanted to keep her. He was smart enough to quit. So he changed the manipulation. They learn basically what works and what doesn't. And they test you out in the beginning. And luckily, like I said, she had a healthy degree of self-respect and esteem in the beginning, at least. So he'd need to work a little bit harder and smarter to find ways to bring her down and destroy her, because the narcissist is always looking how they can take you down. What is it they can use to beat you with? And at the beginning, he didn't know who she was so well. So he was testing out these different methods. And the animal triangulation was just one. It worked probably very well previously, but it didn't work anymore. But it works very well for a lot of people. I know that animal triangulation worked like a dream on me. And back then I couldn't set any boundaries because I didn't feel like I had a right to. This animal was not linked to an ex. But the narcissist that I was involved with had a cat. And I want to be clear, I am an animal person through and through. I love animals and I've had pets all of my life and I could never hate one. But during that relationship, I started hating that particular cat and I felt terrible about it because the cat hadn't done anything to me. Yet the truth was that cat was living better than I was, literally. It was eating gourmet food whilst I was barely being thrown scraps. And it mirrored exactly what happens in a pack environment because the dominant members eat first and the weaker ones are left with the bones. And that was me. I was being thrown bones on the floor whilst the narcissist and the cat ate like royalty at the banquet table, which I was not invited. And I can't even describe how humiliating it is to be made to feel like I was less than a cat in my own home that I was paying for. And I kept wondering, why am I feeling so jealous and insecure about a cat? But it wasn't about the cat. It was about what that comparison actually meant. The narcissist made sure I knew that in their eyes, I was nobody compared to that cat. And was it genuine care for the animal? No, it was fake care. It was all part of the game of triangulation. And at first, the narcissist got supply from the cat, but ironically, the cat never liked the narcissist. The cat was always trying to escape from the narcissist because animals usually know. And for anybody that is skeptical out there, thinking that maybe narcissists do have real affection for pets, here's what happened next. That same cat that was supposedly adored and pampered became a weapon, and the narcissist used it as a threat against their child in the house. Do what I say, or something is going to happen to that cat. And that is the level of cruelty that we're talking about. That's not love, that's control, that's manipulation, and that is punishment. Triangulation with animals actually works because it's so emotionally confusing. Because animals represent innocence and safety and unconditional love. And that is everything that the narcissist is not. So when they use that symbol against you, your brain can't make sense of it. You know, you feel guilty for resenting an animal, even though deep down, you know something's not right. That confusion is exactly what the narcissist wants. They want to keep you controllable. And from a spiritual perspective, you know, animals represent purity. Their energy is of that unconditional love. And narcissists who live completely disconnected from spirit, they instinctively feed off of that energy and they use it to appear more human and more loving, but they are mimicking human behavior. They're not connecting, it's fraud. It's a fraudulent form of love, because real love for an animal is not performative. You know, you feed them and you care about them and you love them because it brings you joy, not because it earns or scores you points or makes you look good. Now, narcissists, they don't love the animal. They love the image of being seen as loving. That's the difference. And the lie that the narcissist sells through all of these manipulation strategies, these triangulation, you know, comparison, silent treatment, devaluation, is that you're not good enough for them. But the truth is always the complete opposite. And here is something super important to always remember. When a narcissist truly sees your value, when they realize that you are the prize and they actually need your light to survive, that's when they double down on these abuse tactics to bring you down. Because the only way that they can keep you is by breaking you. They need you to stop seeing yourself clearly. They need you to doubt your own worth. Their entire illusion depends completely on this. They know that you're too good for them. They know that you have no business being with them. So the only way that they think and know that they can keep you is by breaking you. Because when you see who they truly are, they know you won't want to be with them. Because it's their mask, it's not their true self that wins friends and admiration and influence. If people could see behind the mask, if they could see who the narcissist really is, they'd run. Every person would, even the narcissist. And that's exactly why they have to break you, like I said, to make sure that you don't run. So please never fall for the lie that you're not enough. You've just stopped seeing your reflection clearly because you're using their mirror, which is highly distorted, to see yourself. But believe me, when I say this, if they've tried to break you, if they've spent their energy trying to convince you that you're not nothing, you're nothing, it's because deep down they already know how valuable you are. They see the light in you and they're terrified of it. They just hope that you never realize how bright you actually are. But you will, and when you do, that's the moment that their power is gone, because that is the moment when you remember who you are. And that is when it's game over for them and you set yourself free from their prison. So if you've ever had this triangulation game used on you, whether it's a person or even more humiliating, an animal, remember what I say. So I hope that this video has brought you some clarity and has been super helpful in a number of ways. Drop me a comment below, let me know what your thoughts are and if you've had this experience yourself. For now, thank you so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you all again next time.